The lumiere glowed softly, a quiet golden light drifting across the room. Zara Valora walked in with her little boy, Arian, holding her gown with nervous fingers. He whispered gently, "Mom, the crowd scares me." Zara kept moving toward the private VIP lounge until something made her stop. In a small corner of the grand restaurant sat a tired man in a worn-out shirt. But despite the exhaustion on his face, his smile was warm. He was carefully cutting pasta for a little girl who laughed softly beside him. This man was Rayon Hale, a single father, a man working two simple jobs just to keep life steady for his daughter Mira. Their world wasn't rich, but it was full of love. Tonight was special. Mira had brought home a perfect report card, and Rayon wanted to celebrate it in whatever way he could. A seating mistake brought them into Le Lumiere, a place far beyond their budget. But Rayon didn't correct the staff. For one night, he just wanted his daughter to enjoy the lights. Arian stopped walking. His eyes stayed fixed on that small table, on the simple happiness he saw there. Zara frowned and asked him not to stare, but he whispered softly, "I want to sit with that girl. She looks happy." A floor manager rushed to Zara, suggesting that the modest family didn't belong in her section. Zara's expression turned cold. Without a word, she walked straight to the quiet table. Ryan looked up and froze. Standing in front of him was Zara Valora, the woman whose name echoed across every business magazine. She didn't smile. She didn't introduce herself. She simply said, "My son wants to join your table. May we?" Mira's face lit up with instant joy. "Of course," she said happily. Rayan, overwhelmed, pulled out a chair. The children connected instantly, talking about cartoons, school, and superheroes. Zara and Rayan sat across from each other in gentle silence. Two different worlds, but the same love for their children. As Rayan cut Mira's pasta with patient, steady hands, Arian watched in quiet admiration. Zara watched too, noticing Rayan's scarred hands. Hands shaped by real work, real effort, real responsibility. And when Arian whispered, "Can you cut mine too, please?" Zara froze. Her son had never asked anyone, except hired help. But he trusted this stranger instantly, and for the first time in years, Zara felt something inside her soften. Whispers began to float through the restaurant, sharp, judgmental, cold. People stared at the unlikely sight of the distant billionaire, sitting beside a tired single father in a faded shirt. A nearby waiter looked Rayan up and down and spoke with quiet contempt. "Sir, that dish is premium. Are you sure you can afford it?" Before Rayan could respond, Zara's voice cut through the air like ice. "Bring 2 more servings," she said softly, "and charge everything to my corporate account." The waiter froze, apologized, and hurried away. But the judgment didn't stop there. A wealthy society woman, Mrs. Harding, lifted her voice just enough for everyone to hear. "I thought the Valora dynasty dined with the elite, not janitors." Rayan lowered his gaze. He was used to this kind of humiliation. But tonight, it pierced a little deeper. Mira stood up on her chair, her little voice trembling with fierce loyalty. "My daddy is better than everyone here. He helps people. You're all mean." Arian quickly stood beside her, tiny fist clenched. "Mr. Rayan is nicer than all the boring drivers at my house. He knows how to smile." Zara stared at the 2 children, standing like a tiny army, protecting a man the whole room dismissed. And for the first time, she felt something melt inside her frozen chest. Then suddenly, her assistant burst into the restaurant, eyes wide, voice panicked. "Miss Valora, emergency board meeting. Someone is staging a corporate coup. They have evidence." The room went silent. Zara's face slowly drained of color. Her breath grew unsteady. Her hand trembled. The pressure she had been carrying for years cracked all at once. Rayan saw it instantly. His training awakened. His instincts took over. He grabbed a glass of cold water, tore open a sugar packet, and gently placed them into Zara's shaking hands. His voice was low, calm, Steady. Drink this. Now. The floor staff stared, amazed. He had recognized the signs before even her own assistant. Minutes passed, and Zara's breathing slowly returned to normal. She looked up at him, her voice barely a whisper. Why did you help me? After the way everyone treated you? Rayan looked at Aryan, who was clutching his mother's arm in fear. Because your son needs his mother, he said quietly. No child should watch their parent collapse. And in that moment, Zara Valora realized something she had never understood before. In her world full of wealth, influence, and power, the only person who treated her like a human being was the man everyone else looked down on. She took a deep breath and gently invited Rayan and the children into the private VIP lounge, away from the eyes, the judgments, and the whispers. Inside the peaceful room, Aryan and Mira drifted instantly into play, their small laughter echoing softly against the walls of leather and mahogany. Zara sat across from Rayan, finally letting her guard down. They're trying to remove me, she admitted quietly. They say I'm not fit to run my own company, and after tonight, they'll have proof. Rayan listened, his expression calm, understanding. You're not breaking down, he said softly. You're exhausted. Zara looked at him, surprised. You speak like a doctor. Rayan hesitated. Then, before he could answer, Aryan tugged on his sleeve. Tell the story about the time you saved someone, Uncle Rayan. The one with the smoke. Zara's eyes slowly widened. Saved someone? Rayan exhaled, a long, painful breath. I was a trauma doctor, he said quietly. Military field medicine, emergency response, psychological triage. Zara stared at him, realizing the truth behind the calm in his eyes. But I left after my wife died, he continued. I couldn't save her, and I couldn't live with the guilt. His voice cracked, just once, a wound that had never healed. I decided saving one small world for my daughter was enough. Zara felt her chest tighten. For the first time in her life, she wasn't looking at a maintenance worker. She was looking at a man carrying the weight of a silent war inside him. Before she could speak, Aryan suddenly stopped running. His face turned white. His little hands clutched his chest. Mom, I'm scared, Zara panicked. Aryan, what's happening? Rayan rushed to kneel beside him. His voice turned firm, precise. He's having a panic attack, Rayan said. He saw you collapse earlier. He thinks you'll disappear too. Aryan trembled uncontrollably, crying into his mother's dress. Zara tried to comfort him, but he wouldn't calm down. He didn't know how to receive comfort from a mother who was always too busy to give it. Rayan lifted the boy gently into his arms. It's okay, he whispered. You're safe. Breathe with me. Slow breaths, calm rhythm, grounding questions. Aryan slowly matched Rayan's breathing, his body relaxing, his fear melting away. He rested his head on Rayan's shoulder with complete trust. You smell like clean air, Uncle Rayan, he whispered. Zara watched it happen, and tears quietly filled her eyes. Her son felt safer with a stranger than he ever had with her. And for the first time in her life, Zara Valora felt her heart break for all the moments she had missed. Moments later, Zara's assistant rushed back into the lounge, panic shaking in her voice. Miss Valora, the video of your collapse is going viral. The board is calling an emergency meeting. They want to use it against you. Zara sank into the chair, her strength fading again. They'll remove me, she whispered. It's over. Rayan stood slowly, his calm presence filling the room. No, he said quietly. You're a mother who broke under pressure. They're twisting your humanity into weakness. Zara looked up at him, tears she'd never allowed anyone to see resting in her eyes. No one has ever said that to me. Rayan placed a steady hand on her shoulder. You don't fight this with power, he said softly. You fight it with truth. In that moment, Zara realized she trusted this man more than anyone in her entire empire. She invited Rayan and the children to her mansion that evening. Aryan waited at the door, excited, greeting Mira like a long-lost sister. The grand halls, once silent and cold, filled with children's laughter for the first time in years. Ryan stepped inside, uneasy at the luxury. "This place, it doesn't belong to me," he murmured. Zara gave him a gentle smile. "Tonight, it does. Just be yourself." Dinner was warm and simple, a complete contrast to the tension of the restaurant. For the first time in a long time, Zara laughed. Not the practiced corporate laugh, but a real, human one. She watched Rayan help the chef in the kitchen, his sleeves rolled up, moving with the competence of a doctor and the humility of a man who had rebuilt his life from broken pieces. Later, in the quiet of the library, Zara finally asked him the question that had been sitting in her heart. "How do you stay so present, Rayan? I have teams of people for my son, yet I miss everything." Ryan smiled softly, a smile touched with old pain. "I don't delegate," he said, "not because I can't, but because I learned the hard way that presence is the only wealth that matters." Aryan tugged on Zara's hand, watching Ryan with admiration. "Mom, Uncle Ryan feels like a dad. He makes things okay." Zara froze. Her son's words cut straight into her heart. Out on the terrace, overlooking the city lights, Zara spoke in a trembling voice she had kept buried for years. "I spent my whole life trying to be a warrior. I built walls to protect myself. But all those walls did was keep love out. Tonight, you didn't just save my company. You saved something inside me." Ryan looked at her gently. "Money creates distance, Zara, but love closes it. You just have to choose which one you want more." At the mansion door, Zara faced him, not as a CEO, but as a woman finally ready to trust. "Will you come with me tomorrow? I need someone I can trust. I need you." Rayan nodded softly. "For your son, and for you, I'll be there." The next morning, Zara and Rayan walked into the emergency shareholders meeting together. Arian and Mira walked ahead, their little hands linked, a symbol of innocence stronger than the tension in the room. Victor Crane, the head of operations, smirked confidently, ready to use the viral video to destroy Zara's position. But Rayan stepped forward, calm, steady, and took control of the screen. In a quiet, precise voice, he broke down the entire conspiracy, the timing of the collapse, the assistant hired by Victor, the deliberate leak, the manipulation. He revealed medical evidence showing Zara's collapse was temporary stress-induced hypoglycemia, not a medical condition. Then, Rayan did something no one expected. He looked directly at the shareholders and spoke from the heart. "This company was built on strength," he said, "and the greatest strength a leader can show is being human." Victor used Zara's humanity as a weapon, but what he exposed was not weakness. It was sacrifice. Gasps spread around the room as Rayan displayed undeniable proof of Victor's betrayal. The board turned furious, and Victor Crane was escorted out in disgrace. Silence filled the room as Zara stood there, free, relieved, victorious. A senior shareholder finally asked, "Who is this man?" Zara's voice softened. "He's Rayan Hale, the only person who never turned his back on me. He saved my life. He protected my son. And from today, he will be this corporation's chief strategy and wellness officer." The board agreed instantly, but Ryan shook his head gently. "I'll accept on one condition. My schedule must allow me to remain a fully present father. My daughter comes first." Orion ran to him and wrapped his arms around his leg. "Please stay. Uncle Rayan, we need you." Zara looked at Rayan with a softness she had never shown anyone. "I need you too, as my partner in every sense of the word." Mira giggled, holding Arian's hand. "So, does this mean we're like brother and sister now?" Rayan laughed, a real joyful laugh that carried years of pain away. "Maybe we are," he said softly. "Maybe fate had something different planned for all of us." Zara took his hand, a silent promise forming between them. They were no longer the ice-cold CEO and the struggling single dad. They were two parents learning to build a home, a future, and a family. And as the children ran ahead, their laughter rising into the evening sky, four shadows stretched across the pavement, intertwined, unbreakable, and filled with a love none of them had seen coming.